Anantah pratamam rupam Lakshmanascha tatah paraha Balabhadram tritiyastu kalau Ramanujas smrutaha Yonityamachyuta padambuja yugmarugma vyamohatas tatitarani trinayamene Asmadguroho bhagavatosya dayeka sindhoho Ramanujasya sharanau Śaranam Prapadye Tasmad bhavantam anavadyam anantaparam Sarvagyam Ishwaram Akunta Vikunta Dishnyam Nirvidnadihi Ahamuhe Vrijinabhitaptaha Narayanam Narasakam Śaranam Prapadye Narayanam Narasakam Śaranam Prapadye. A glorious declaration by the Supreme Bhakta Uddhava. In the 11th skanda of Srimad Bhagavatam, we see Uddhava performing Sharanagati to Krishna. Tasmad bhavantam anavadyam anantaparam Sarvagyam Ishwaram Akunta Vikunta Dishnyam Nirvinnadihi Ahamuhe Vrijinabhitaptaha Narayana Narasakha Śaranam Prapadye. Śaranam Prapadye. That's the topic we have chosen to relish on this auspicious occasion. Ramanuja Jayanti. Both Srimad Bhagavatam and the Bhagavatottama, Bhagavatam and the Bhagavatottama took the avatars for only one reason. Krishna as Bhagavatam and Adisesha as Bhagavatottama Jagadacharya Ramanuja took avatars only for one reason, to uplift us from the dark depths of samsara. Sharanagati is the means to attain moksha. The Shastras categorically declare Bhaktya Paramayavapi Prapatyava Mahamune Praptyoham Aham Kainkarya Lipsubihi. Bhakti Yoga and Sharanagati, Prapatti are both the upayas to attain moksha. Now, while Bhakti Yoga is widely discussed in the Shastras, the doctrine of Sharanagati by and large has been a rahasya, has been gupta, has been hidden. The Vedas, the Upanishads, the Itihasa Puranas discuss at length the doctrine of Sharanagati. But for some reason, the doctrine of Sharanagati remained more or less hidden until Ramanuja Divakara took the avatara. Punyambhoja Vikasaya Papadhvanta Kshayaya Cha Shriman Avirabhut Bhumau Ramanuja Divakaraha. The son of Ramanuja had to rise to dispel the darkness of samsara by opening the door to spirituality to one and all. Now, in the history of Sanatana Dharma, we can draw a line and we can say before Yatiraja Ramanuja, after, for one particular reason. It is Adisesha Avatara who not only revealed who not only revealed the essence of Sharanagati, unlocked the ultimate means to mukti, but also opened the door to mukti to one and all without any discrimination whatsoever. That is why we celebrate him as the very embodiment of equality, the very embodiment of nobility, the very embodiment of compassion. Sharanagati is discussed as the means across all the Shastras, including Srimad Bhagavatam. Atra sarga vishargascha sthanam poshanam utayaha manmantreshanukataya nirodaha muktir ashrayaha. Srimad Bhagavatam, which is nothing but Krishna Swarupa, reveals 10 subjects for our Ujjivana, for the upliftment of mankind. Bhagavan, through Bhagavatam, teaches us 10 important subjects. Sarga, Visarga, Sthanam, Poshanam, Uti, Manvantara, Ishanukatha, Nirodha, Mukti. All these are for only one purpose. Sarga, creation. Visarga, individual creation, secondary creation. Sthanam, the position of various living beings across various lokas. Poshanam, grace. Uti, which is the inclination that drives every action that humans do. Manvantara, the various reigns of various Manus, various kings, the lineages. Ishanukatha, the glorious avatars, and also the legends of supreme bhaktas. Nirodha, pralaya, dissolution. Mukti, liberation. All these 9 topics are widely discussed in Bhagavatam for only one reason, for one purpose. Eventually, to come to that final conclusion, ashraya. Ashraya is refuge, shelter. Taking ashraya is performing Sharanagati. Therefore, Srimad Bhagavatam teaches Sharanagati across all the skandhas through several examples, and ultimately the purpose of Bhagavatam is to highlight the importance, the significance of Sharanagati. Sharanagati is the spiritual equivalent of a drowning man calling for help. A drowning man calling for help. Now, we may think, are we really drowning? All of us are drowning in samsara, but unfortunately, most of us don't recognize that we are drowning, because if someone is intoxicated, one will not even realize that one is drowning. An intoxicated man thrown into the ocean will not realize he is drowning. So therefore, many of us may even question the need to call out for help. The first thing that is needed for us in samsara is to address the forgetfulness of our forgetfulness. Because we are forgetful that we are forgetful. So this call for help, seeking sharana, seeking ashraya, we may think, why is it not coming naturally to us? When our natural disposition is to be in a mood of surrender. Because we are sheltered by Bhagavan, whether we realize it or not. We are protected by him. We are in his shelter, but just like an intoxicated drowning man, we are all intoxicated in many ways. Therefore, while the Vedas, the Upanishads, the Itihasas and the Puranas talk about Sharanagati, it took some time for the doctrine of Sharanagati to be formulated and presented in a way that can be helpful to one and all without any discrimination. This is why we celebrate Ramanuja Jayanti, because Swami Ramanuja was the embodiment of compassion. An embodiment of compassion who redefined Acharya Sishya Sambandha. Why do I say he redefined the Sambandha between an Acharya and a Sishya? No, we all know in Sanatana Dharma, progress for any seeker is possible through an Acharya. So a Acharya Sambandha with Sishya, the Sambandha is so very sacred. Until the times of Ramanuja, all the Acharyas can be categorized as Anuvritti Prasannacharyas. Anuvritti Prasannacharya. Who is an Anuvritti Prasannacharya? One who looks at the capability of a Sishya, the qualification of a Sishya, whether one can be given the treasury of the Shastras. So a Sishya is tested. There is a written exam. Before the Sishya qualifies and gets entrance. So all the Acharyas until then were Anuvritti Prasannacharyas. Ramanuja redefined and he made only the desire for moksha as the only prerequisite. And therefore, he is celebrated as Kripamatra Prasannacharya. Kripamatra, compassion, nothing else. His means is integration. His value is compassion. He integrated philosophies. There are several philosophies in Sanatana Dharma. Ramanuja integrated the philosophies, integrated the darshanas to give us a unified perspective of reality. He not only integrated philosophies, he integrated people. Today, Bharata Desha is unified by bhakti. It is the bhakti movement which started 1,000 years back, which brought different parts of Bharata all together. Every sampradaya of bhakti today can be traced back to the seed which was sown 1,007 years back by Swami Ramanuja. So he integrated people belonging to different castes, different creed, different communities with no discrimination whatsoever. He synthesized Jnana and Bhakti, integrated Jnana and Bhakti together, demonstrated that Jnana Marga is not different from Bhakti Marga. He synthesized Jnana and Bhakti. He also harmonized Bhakti and Prapatti. And therefore, it is only appropriate that as we relish Bhagavatam, we also relish the glorious contribution of Ramanuja and also understand the Sharanagati Marga, which again is what Bhagavatam teaches us across all the skandhas. Ramanuja, on behalf of all of us, performed Sharanagati. He did not perform Sharanagati just for his sake. For the upliftment of the entire humankind, he performed Sharanagati to Ranganayaki and Ranganatha. So it is the outcome of that Sharanagati is celebrated as Sharanagati Gadyam. bringing together the essence of the Vedas and the Upanishads and the Itihasas, he presented a prose which summarizes the Sharanagati Marga, which becomes a framework for us to understand Sharanagati and practice Sharanagati for our day-to-day life and living. Asesha Chidachid Vastu Seshi Bhuta Nikila Jagadadhara Asmat Swamin Akila Jagadadhara Asmat Swamin Satyakama Satyasankalpa Sakaletara Vilakshana Artikalpaka Abatsaka Shriman Narayana Asharanya Sharanya Ananya Sharanaha Tatpadaravindam Sharanam Prapadye. On our behalf, he first surrenders to Shri and then to Narayana. Hey Asharanya Sharanya, Ananya Sharanaha, the one who protects the shelterless. I have no other refuge and I surrender to you, Hey Narayana. Tat Padaravinda Yugalam Sharanam Prapadye. Your lotus feet alone are the means to moksha. Now, Ramanuja synthesizes bhakti and prapaddi, harmonizes. Bhakti yoga is sadhana bhakti. We need to understand there are two bhaktis. When we talk of bhakti, bhakti can be categorized into two. Because as we see in the Gita, bhakti is means to mukti and the blissful state of mukti is qualified by bhakti. Because many a times we ask this question, we do bhakti, we attain mukti, and then what? The answer is continue to do bhakti. Bhakti is the means to mukti and the state of mukti is qualified by bhakti. Because our natural state is to lovingly serve Bhagavan. That's the natural state. So the bhakti yoga, swadharma jnana vairagya sadhya bhakti eka gocharaha. Bhakti yoga that is taught in the Shastras, performing karma yoga, performing jnana yoga, performing bhakti yoga, these are all sadhanas. So there is sadhana bhakti, which means there is an effort that we need to put. Based on our effort, the sadhana means where we expend effort. That is sadhana bhakti. Then there is the other bhakti, which is sadhya bhakti. Sadhya bhakti is, which is always there. It is the outcome of sadhana bhakti. Now, when we look at all our itihasas and puranas, and if we have to name the supreme bhaktas, let's say we do this exercise to pick all the supreme bhaktas that come to our mind. Prahalada, Hanuman, Vibhishana, Shabari, Guha, Uddhava. We can go on listing. Now there is one thing seems to be common across all the greatest bhaktas. That one thing that is very common, could be surprising, is none of them are Brahmanas. Another thing that is common to all of them, none of them seem to have performed karma yoga. None of them seem to have performed jnana yoga. None of them seem to have performed bhakti yoga. Of course, another great, the supreme example of a supreme bhakta, Gopikas of Vraja. What karma yoga did they do? What jnana yoga did they do? What bhakti yoga did they do? And then we are confused. How is it possible? This is where Ramanuja synthesizes bhakti and prapaddi and gives us the answer. All of them have obtained sadhya bhakti. By performing Sharanagati Prapaddi to Krishna, Krishna bestowed them with sadhya bhakti, the supreme bhakti bestowed by Krishna. Sadhya bhakti. So bhakti can be sadhana bhakti, bhakti can be sadhya bhakti. Now we all know how difficult it is in Kali Yuga to perform any sadhana. In Bhagavata Mahatmyam, we get to understand how Kali Purusha rules, takes over, and he ensures that every sadhana that we pick up, every good endeavor of ours fails. Kalipurusha does one thing consistently. Every good endeavor fails. Every sadhana that we adopt fails. Then naturally, we are worried, we are concerned. If every sadhana that we take, every good thing that we adopt, in order for us to progress spiritually, fails because Kalipurusha is overwhelming, is overpowering, then what is the means? And we also know the only thing or only one who cannot be overpowered by Kalipurusha is Bhagavan. So therefore, Ramanuja gives us a very simple and effective means. A means which cannot be overpowered by Kalipurusha. A means which will not fail in Kali Yuga. And what is that? Bhagavan himself, his lotus feet. And Sharanagati is essentially accepting Bhagavan's lotus feet as the only means. Ahamasmi aparadhana malayoho akinchano agatihi tvamevo upaya bhutosme bhaveti prarthanamatihi sharanagatihi. Therefore, by culling out wisdom from across the Shastras, from the Vedas, from the Upanishads, from the Itihasas, Swami gives us an effective means which is unfailing in Kali Yuga. And Sharanagati is the means, and when one does Sharanagati, then what will be the question? A Sharanagata, a Prapanna also does Bhakti. After I do Sharanagati, then what do I do? I continue to lovingly serve Bhagavan. I am in love with him. So therefore it is Sadhya Bhakti. Instead of adopting Bhakti as Sadhana Bhakti, Sharanagati is essentially for surrendering to Bhagavan, accepting Bhagavan's lotus feet as the only means, and continue to practice Sadhya Bhakti. Sadhya Bhakti is continue to experience Bhagavan, his Kalyana Gunas, and as the journey continues, after moksha, Sadhya Bhakti continues. After moksha is a state where I continue to lovingly serve Bhagavan. Nitya Kainkarya. Therefore, what we see through Ramanuja's works is a blend, a beautiful blend, a synthesis of not only jnana and bhakti, but also a harmony between bhakti and prapatti. So therefore, a bhakti yoga nishta also has to perform sharanagati. Why? For a bhakti yoga nishta, for all the obstacles that come in the way, how can one overcome the obstacles? Through sharanagati. And for one who is a prapanna, he also does bhakti, which is sadhya bhakti. Therefore, bhakti and prapatti are complementing each other. So thus, we see a beautiful synthesis and harmonizing of both these, and while both bhakti yoga and prapatti yoga are two different means to attain Bhagavan, we get to clearly understand that in Kali Yuga, the sure shot means is to adopt Sharanagati. Ramanuja, in his Sharanagati Gadya, he has a wonderful conversation with Bhagavan, with Ranganatha. No, this is he performing Sharanagati on behalf of all of us. On behalf of all of us, 1000 years back, he performed Sharanagati and he secured moksha for all of us on that very day. On our behalf, he convinced Bhagavan that all of us qualify for moksha, whatever be our disqualifications. And in that glorious conversation, after surrendering to Sri Mahalakshmi and then surrendering to Narayana, Padaravinda yugalam Śaranam Prapadye. Ramanuja has this conversation where when he talks to Bhagavan, it is like every Jivatma having a conversation with Paramatma. And he looks at Bhagavan and he says, hey Bhagavan, I am seeking, I did Sharanagati and I am seeking the highest reward that you can ever give. Bhagavan is very curious. What is that highest reward that you are seeking? Ramanuja responds, obviously the only reward that I am seeking is eternal kainkarya to your lotus feet. Uninterrupted. Because in samsara, there are always interruptions, there are always distractions. Give me that kainkarya which is uninterrupted and eternal, which is nothing but moksha. And Bhagavan says, I am ready to give. I just want to know, what can you give in return to me? What is that qualification that you have that I should give you the highest reward? Ramanuja looks at Bhagavan and says, Bhagavan, let me be very open. You are asking me for what qualification do I have? The only qualification that I have is my relationship with you. A child, when the child is hungry and calls out for the mother to feed, the mother never asks, what is your qualification to be fed? So therefore, why are you now asking me? You are not just a mortal mother, you are thousands of mothers put together. Therefore, I deserve to be given that highest reward, hey Bhagavan. But Bhagavan still wants to, engage in a play with him. And he continues to ask, I understand that, but however, I insist. What is that you can offer? There should be at least something that you can offer me. Then Ramanuja becomes very bold and on behalf of all of us, he says, yes, now that you have asked me, I have loads to offer to you. So Krishna is very pleased. Oh, he has loads to offer to me. What is that you have? I have tons and tons of papa karma that I can offer to you. I have safely and securely accumulated so much of papa karma, so many offenses that I have committed in the past, that all of that I can offer it to you, and I know that you are the very embodiment of Vatsalya, that even the doshas that I offer you, I know you will accept. Therefore, I am with courage, I am offering even my doshas to you, and I seek your mercy to accept me as I am. I am imperfect and I am a bundle. Ahamasmi aparadhanamalayoho. I am just a bundle of imperfections. As long as the Atma has this association with Prakriti, perfection is not possible. As long as we are ruled by the three gunas, I can only accumulate papa karmas, and I am offering all my offenses that I have committed, not in this lifetime, through several lifetimes, everything I offer. I am your dasa, therefore accept me, you are my Swami. Bhagavan immediately says, you recognize your nature as dasa and me as Swami, then why are you asking dasatva? You have already recognized that. No, I am asking that, hey Bhagavan, because I am forgetful. Right now, I am reminded that I am your dasa, but next moment I may forget it. So therefore, when I remember, I am declaring that I am your dasa. Be happy. You at least be happy that sometimes I remember I am your dasa, and when I remember, I am dutifully conveying that to you. Therefore, you must accept. You and you alone can give me jnana. You and you alone can give me bhakti. You and you alone can give me kainkarya. You and you alone can give me shraddha. Krishna is amused. If I have to give you everything, then what will you do? Everything that you are asking for, shraddha, bhakti, jnana, everything, then what will you do? I will do one thing, Bhagavan. I will at least ensure that my ego will not come in the way of accepting what you give. That is the least, that is the best I can do. No, it is like when a mother is walking along with the child to cross the road, all that the child has to do is not prevent the mother from holding the child. The child need not even ask the mother to hold her hand, because the mother knows how to protect her child. All that the child needs to do is not come in the way. Just ensure that the mother does her job. So Ramanuja is saying, I can only do one thing, let you do your job. And when you do your job, I know everything is secure for me. And he says, Bhagavan, you have given me the body, mind and intelligence, no doubt. But unfortunately, the vehicle that you have given me, with which I can drive and come to you, that vehicle has become an obstacle now. What is supposed to be a vehicle has become an obstacle. Madhiya anadi karma pravritta pravaha pravrittam Bhagavat Swarupa Tirodhana Karim Viparita Jnana Jananim Svavishayayasta Bhogya Buddher Jananim Dehendriyatvena Bhogyatvena Sukshma Rupena Cha Avastitam Daivim Gunamayim Mayam Charanagatos Pitavaspidasaha Iti Vaktaram Mam Taraya. Again he said, it is impossible for me to overcome this power of this Maya, which is the product of three gunas, this Prakriti. You have brought about this association between me and Prakriti by giving this body. But unfortunately, this Prakriti, which is in four states, Dehendriyatvena, Bhogyatvena, Sukshma Rupena. Deha, Indriya, Bhogya, Sukshma. Prakriti is in the subtle state. That subtle state then transforms and becomes Deha, Indriya, Bhogya. Bhogya is objects of my senses. Indriya, my senses, this body. All these four states of Prakriti have only done three things for me. The four states of Prakriti have ended up doing three things. There are only three functions of Prakriti. What are the three functions? Bhagavat Swarupa Tirodhana Karim. Number 2, Viparita Jnana Jananim. Number 3, Svavishayayascha Bhogya Buddher Janani. Bhagavat Swarupa Tirodhana Karim. This Prakriti has put a curtain, completely covered your Swarupa. Therefore, even though you journey with me as my Paramatma, this curtain of Prakriti has completely obfuscated, blinded me to such an extent that I am not aware of your presence with me at all. Bhagavat Swarupa Tirodhanakari. Bhagavan, you created and you entered every created entity as Paramatma to guide us. But then your Prakriti is now become a curtain between you and me, not allowing me to recognize you. How am I able to take your guidance? Bhagavat Swarupa Tirodhanaka. Viparita Jnana Janani. It gives Viparita Jnana. Viparita Jnana is identifying Deha as myself. Dehabhimana. Viparita. Misidentification. Viparita Jnana. So Vishayayascha Bhogya Buddher Janani. This Prakriti also ensures that I start thinking that I am independent of you. Not only that, the dangerous thing is not just thinking I am independent of Krishna, I am dependent on this body. And in that process, so Vishayayascha Bhogya Buddher Jananim, the summum bonum of life becomes just bodily gratification. And such is the state. And because of this, Madhiya Anadi Karma Pravritta Pravaham. Pravaha. This karma has been like pravaha flowing from the past, and there is no way for me to cross over this ocean of samsara. And therefore, you and you alone can enable me cross over this samsara. Thus, Ramanuja requests Bhagavan not only to accept his doshas, his imperfections, but also accept his incapability. No, akinchinyam. When Krishna asks him, what do you have? He says, I have two things. Akinchinyam, ananyagatitvam. Akinchinya, I am incapable myself. I have no capability. On my own, there is no way I can reach you. Ananyagati, I have no other shelter other than you, because every other shelter in samsara I know is infallible, it will fail. I know you are the only unfailing shelter. So therefore, you have to accept my imperfections, my doshas. You also have to ensure that I cross over this ocean of samsara. You alone can do this for me. And when he submits thus, then Krishna asks him, I accept your Sharanagati, what do you want? So this is where we see what Ramanuja asks for. He immediately asks, I want two things. Shlokatrayodita jnaninam mam kurushva, sthanatrayodita parabhaktim mam kurushva. Parabhakti, parajnana, parabhaktyeka swabhavam mam kurushva. We also get to understand what we need to pray to Bhagavan. Many times we are also wondering what is the most effective prayer. We surrender to Bhagavan, and what should we ask? Should we ask? Should we not ask? No, that's the first question. Ask, we must. But if we must ask, the other long list that we have, we must tuck it away. And then we need to look at what we really need to ask. Ramanuja says, Shlokatrayodita jnaninam mam kurushva. Now he picks up 3 shlokas. Shlokatrayodita. The 3 shlokas from the 7th chapter of the Gita. Jnaninam mam kurushva. Tesham jnani nityayukta ekabhaktir visishyate priyo hi jnaninotyartam aham sacha mama priyaha udara sarvayevete jnani tu atmaive matam astitas sahi yuktanam mamevam anuttamam gatim bahunam janmanamante jnanavan mam prapadyate vasudevas sarvabhiti samahatma sudurlabaha shlokat iti shlokatrayodita jnaninam kurush. Give me the jnana of that supreme bhakta, of that jnani. So he is asking, what is the reward? Give me that jnana. What jnana we have to first understand? What jnana that Swami Ramanuja is asking from these 3, and why 3 shlokas? Why not only one? Because all 3 shlokas talk about jnani. Krishna talks about jnani through all these 3 shlokas. But only when we put all these 3 shlokas together, we get a very, very important message, which we may miss out if we only take each of them separately. And we can understand what kind of jnana that Ramanuja is asking for. The first one of the 3, Tesham nityayuktana ekabhaktir visishyate priyo hi jnaninotyartam aham sacha mama priyaha. The jnani, the supreme bhakta, loves me. More importantly, hey Arjuna, I love him too. It is very important that we love Krishna, but it is more important that Krishna loves us. Now, the jnani, the supreme bhakta, is the one who is nityayuktaha. That's the very important word there. That inseparability. The jivatma is inseparable from Paramatma. There is no separate existence for the jivatma. Without him, we have no existence. Nityayuktaha, ever connected, ever united. So therefore, this first shloka of the Shlokatraya is talking about the inseparability and Bhagavan being the only support. He is the supporter, we are the supported. Second one, Udharas sarvayevete jnani tu atmaivam matam astitasya yuktatma mamevam anuttamam gatim. Mamevam anuttamam gatim. The sole goal of a soul is the whole. The soul, S-O-L-E, soul, goal of the soul, S-O-U-L, is the whole, Krishna, W-H-O-L-E. Ultimate goal, which means the Atma is a utility for the Paramatma. The Atma is a Sesha, Paramatma is a Seshi. Utility, we exist only to serve. The part of the whole exists only to serve the whole. A cell in the body has no other business other than serving the body. The moment the cell recognizes that it is part of this body, it will not question, should I serve the body? It is in serving the body that cell gets in turn served. So therefore, the second message that we get in the Shlokatraya is The Atma is the Sesha, Paramatma is the Seshi. Utility, he is the Swami. And the third shloka of the Shlokatraya, which describes the Jnani, Bahunam Janmanamante Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudevas Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudra Vasudevas Sarvamiti, which means Vasudeva is the Antaryami of all. Why is he present? Why does he pervade? Because to control from within. He is the supreme controller. So we get the third important message. He is the controller. We are the controlled. Supporter, supported. Supporter, supported. Master, servant. Controller, controlled. If we put all this together, we get the relationship between Sharira and Shariri. Sharira, Shariri, Sambandha, Jnana. The Jnani is one who has this Jnana, that Bhagavan is the Shariri, we are all his Sharira. Every Jivatma is a Sharira, this entire universe is Sharira. Therefore, through three, also towards the end of the third shloka, also Krishna says, Jnanavan Mam Prapadyate Vasudevas Sarvamiti Samahatma Sudurlabha Bahunam Janmanamante. After many lifetimes, one acquires this Jnana. What is this Jnana? Seshatva Jnana. This Jnana that I am the Sesha, Bhagavan is the Seshi. Ramanuja immediately says, you may say one will get after several hundreds and thousands of lifetimes. I don't have the patience to go through many more lifetimes, and therefore in this very lifetime, please give me that Seshatva Jnana. So therefore he is surrendering and asking for Shloka Trayodita Jnaninam Mam Kurushva. That Seshatva Jnana, I can't go through this ordeal of several births anymore. Not only me, everyone else, all my sambandhis will not have the capability to go through this ordeal, and therefore bestow, grant me that jnana right now. That is one of the rewards of doing the Sharanagati. So therefore, whenever we do Sharanagati to Krishna, one of the asks should be, please give me that jnana that I belong to you and you alone. That Seshatva Jnana is so very important. The second ask, what is the second part of the reward? Sthanatrayodita parabhaktim mam kurushva. Purushassa parapartha bhaktya tvananyaya shakyaha. Madbhaktim labhate param. He picks once again from the Gita three important shlokas. Parabhakti, Parajnana, Parabhakti. Parabhakti, Parajnana, Parabhakti swabhavam mam kurushva. He's again teaching what we should ask Bhagavan. Hey Bhagavan, give me Parabhakti, give me Parajnana, give me Paramabhakti. So bhakti progresses in three stages. Bhakti progresses in three stages. We can call them as Jnanavastha, Darshanavastha, Praptyavastha. Jnanavastha is the stage where knowing Krishna. Now we have crossed the stage of knowing about Krishna. Now we know Krishna, which means we have started to experience him. We have fallen in love with him. And a bhakta has now started to experience Bhagavan, knowing him, experiencing him. Now the bhakta is thirsting for communion with Krishna. Bhakta becomes inseparable. He wants more and more of Krishna Samshlesha. He wants to experience Bhagavan's gunas continuously. That is the stage of Parama Bhakti. Jnana Avastha. Bhagavan reciprocates and abundantly blesses, and with his grace, the bhakta's intensity of longing and love grows. The bhakta now is consumed by Krishna Trishna, and in that, immersed in the love for Krishna, the bhakta now urges to see him. This is Darshanavastha. Bhagavan compassionately grants darshana, but this darshana is darshana samanakara sakshatkara. which is he gives a darshana in the mind. We then start to experience Krishna in our mind. Darshana samanakara. This is darshanavastha. This is parajnana. This is the second stage. The third stage is parama bhakti. The moment we start to experience Bhagavan's Divyamangala Rupa, and then it becomes, samsara becomes unbearable for the bhakta. Now the bhakta is ready for mukti, and he is now thirsting for mukti, to be released from the cycle of samsara, from the bonds of prakriti. That is the stage of parama bhakti. Parama bhakti is a stage where bhakta is only looking at Bhagavan's pleasure. There is no more pleasure for me. It is Krishna Mukhollasa. Everything that I do is for his sake, and in that process, whatever happens to me does not matter. It seems in Dwaraka, one fine day, Krishna declared, I have a serious headache. We see this beautiful legend in the Bhagavatam. Krishna says, I have a serious headache. Everyone in Dwaraka is alarmed. Everyone is running around. Krishna has a headache. What do we do? They bring all kinds of physicians, and the treatment starts, but Krishna continues to be, experiencing the headache. Then Narada comes. Narada says, hey Krishna, it is very difficult for us to see you. How can you bear this headache, hey Krishna? What is the cure, hey Krishna? We will do anything that it takes. Krishna says, the cure is very simple, hey Narada. All that I need, I'm looking for, is to apply the dust from the feet of my bhakta. You bring the dust from the feet of my bhakta, apply it on my forehead. That is the cure for my headache. Immediately Narada is shocked. And everybody looks at Narada and says, you are a bhakta. Of course I'm a bhakta, but it is cruel for me to take the dust from my feet and apply it on Bhagavan's forehead. I cannot do it. Everyone in Dwaraka, all the great bhaktas are alarmed. How do we find a solution to this? It is impossible for us to take the dust from our own feet to apply it on the forehead of our Bhagavan. No, it is impossible. What can we do? And Krishna has a solution. He says, Narada, now I know it's not easy, but let me tell you, there is a place called Vraja. Please go there. And there are gopikas there waiting for me. Please go there and ask them. They will give you a solution. Narada rushes and tells. And then immediately all the gopikas are taking the feet from, dust from their feet and offering. Please take this and offer. Narada says, you will go to hell by doing this. He says, how does it matter if we go to hell? We cannot bear seeing Krishna in pain. That is Parama Bhakti. A stage where almost there for Mukti. It is a stage where, and then upon Mukti, one continues to be in the state of Parama Bhakti. Therefore, Ramanuja is asking, hey Bhagavan, I did Sharanagati so that you alone can progress me from Parabhakti to Parajnana to Paramabhakti. Purushassa Parahparta. That's there, he says, that is Parabhakti. Where I realize you are the Purushottama. How do you realize? The question comes. Purushassa Parabhakta. I am there in you, you are there in me, he says. Which means you are Narayana. Therefore, I do bhakti to you. And then, Bhaktyaatmananya Shakya Ahamevam Vidorjuna. Through bhakti, I express my desire, and this desire qualifies me to deserve you. So therefore, Bhagavan gives parajnana, jnanavastha. Madbhaktim labate param. And with this parama bhakti, I am ready for moksha. It is impossible for me to stay any longer here. And that parama bhakti is what I am seeking by performing Sharanagati to you. Krishna immediately responds, now I am very pleased with you, and I am more pleased because you have not only asked for Parabhakti, Parajnana, Paramabhakti for yourself, you have asked for everybody else, and in that process, you have secured moksha for everyone. And thus Bhagavan himself celebrates the Jagadacharya. Now Sharanagati is done. And then after Sharanagati, what is the question? Because Sharanagati can be only performed once. I perform Sharanagati today. From tomorrow, what do I do? Is the question. How do I lead the life of a Sharanagata? This is where Bhagavatam comes in. Through Bhagavatam, we can understand how we can lead the life of a Sharanagata. In fact, the central purpose of Bhagavatam is to teach us the various angas of Sharanagati. We all know the 6 angas of Sharanagati. Anukulyasya sankalpam, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshishyatiti vishwasaha, goptrutva varanam tata, atmanikshepakarpanye, shadvida sharanagatihi. Shadvida sharanagatihi. 6 angas. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjana. Do whatever is favorable to Krishna. Don't do what is unfavorable to Krishna. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjana. We can take the medical metaphor to easily understand this. Now, the moment we know that the doctor is competent, it is very important that we do what the prescription says and we don't do what the proscription of the doctor says. So, same is the case. Once we recognize the disease of samsara and the supreme doctor Krishna gives us prescriptions and proscriptions. So, a Sharanagata has to do what is favorable to Krishna and what is not and not do what is unfavorable to Krishna. In any medical treatment, especially a long treatment, we all think once we do Sharanagati, then our job is done. He takes over everything. Yes, true. He takes over everything. But there is still a part that Sharanagata has to do, because Sharanagata has to complete his lifetime. Because Dehavasane Mukti Syat. Mukti is only after the utility of the body comes to an end. Until then, we have to still be in the Prakriti Mandala. So a Prapanna, until Dehavasana, has to still do something. Like in a medical treatment, the role of a doctor is so very important. But the patient also has to do his small part. As long as he is doing exactly what the doctor asks him to do and not do what the doctor asks him not to do, he is doing his part. Anukulyasya sankalpam, pratikulyasya vajja. Rakshayati iti vishwasaha. Vishwasa, having that faith. Again, if there is no faith, there can be no treatment. It is so very important for the faith. That's why it is called Mahavishwasa, not ordinary Vishwasa, Mahavishwasa. Goptrutva Varanam. Varanam means to choose. Choosing Bhagavan and Bhagavan alone. His grace alone is the means. And he alone is my protector and my sustainer. Goptrutva Varanam. Karpanya is helplessness. I am helpless, I am weak, I am incapable. Now, these are all incomplete statements. The sentence has to be completed. I am helpless without Krishna. I am weak without Krishna. I am choiceless without Krishna. I am incapable without Krishna. That without Krishna makes the seemingly negative statement into a positive affirmation and empowers us. And Atma Nikshepa, Nikshepa means depositing. So to deposit the stolen property is Atma Nikshepa. What is the stolen property? We have stolen our own Atman. The Atma also belongs to the Paramatma. We think we are independent of him. We have stolen ourselves from him. So Atma Nikshepa is redepositing what belongs to him. For the disease of samsara, the Shastras give a cure, Jnana. The Shastras give all the Jnana that is required. But unfortunately, the jnana given in the Shastras is like antibiotic. It cures, but there are also side effects. What are the side effects? The main side effect is swatantriya. As we obtain jnana, the swatantriya in us also grows. We think we are swatantras. And therefore, along with antibiotic, we need other medicine to cure the side effects. That is the paratantriya jnana. We are not swatantras, we are paratantras. We are solely, totally, wholly, completely dependent on Krishna. Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjana. In Bhagavatam, the exemplar of surrender, Mahabali, teaches us how, as a Sharanagata, we can practice these two. Now, if we look at the 6 angas, the first two, Anukulyasya sankalpa, pratikulyasya varjanam. These are actions. These are conscious choices that we need to make. So therefore, if we say Sharanagati is a state of choicelessness, is wrong. We still have to do conscious choice making. Anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjanam. These two are actions. The other 4, Vishwasa, Karpanya, Goptrutva Varana, and Atmanikshepa, are dispositions. 2 actions, 4 dispositions. Put together gives us a framework as to how, as a Sharanagata, we can lead our lives and living. In our day-to-day life and living, we are run by our impulses and our instincts. Everything that we do, impulsive eating, impulsive shopping, impulsive talking, everything is impulsive. Sometimes instinctive as well. In both the cases, there is no thinking. In both the cases, there is no thinking. In the case of impulse, there is no thinking, there is no intelligence. In the case of instinct, there could be a possibility of some intelligence. But in both the cases, there is no distance between the stimuli and the indulgence. And therefore, as we become Sharanagatas, we go through a transformation, and a spiritual transformation goes through 4 stages. The stages of overcoming our impulses and instincts is fourfold. The stages are 4. Failures without struggle. Failures with struggle. Success with struggle. Success without struggle. These are the 4 stages. First stage, most of us are at this stage. Failures without struggle. Blissfully let the impulses do what they like. Just be ruled by them. Life is run by our vasanas. We are blissfully unconscious of who is running our lives. So failure without any struggle. Then we progress to the next stage. Failure after struggle. We start fighting with our own impulses, fighting with our own vasanas. But then it's an uphill battle. We repeatedly fail. Then we progress to the next stage. Success with struggle. Then, thanks to Gita, thanks to all the Shastras, as we keep acquiring jnana, then with lot of struggle, with our intelligence strengthened, we succeed. But life is still a struggle. But for a Sharanagata who goes by the principles of Anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjanam, it is success without struggle. Effortless, because we have delegated the efforts to Krishna. He does all the hard work. We do the hard work, he does the hard work. When Bhagavan approached as Vamana to Mahabali, one of the great examples for unconditional surrender. Mahabali knew Vamana was none other than Narayana. Mahabali had to give up so much for so little. He had to give up so much for so little. What is that so much that he had to give? He had to give up the counsel of a time-tested Brahmana, Shukracharya. For what? For the counsel of an untested Brahmana, Vamana. He had to give so much. He had to give up his entire kingdom for so little, just to honor his own word that he gave. He had to give so much, eventually his own head. Now, is it so little? Ultimately, he was bountifully blessed by Bhagavan. Mahabali knew that it was Mahavishnu who has approached him as Vamana. And if Vishnu is seeking alms, and if Shukracharya is asking him not to give alms, he knows Pratikulyasya Varjanam. What Shukracharya recommends is Pratikulyasya Varjanam. What Vamana seeks is Anukulyasya Sankalpa. So, through Mahabali Charitra, we get to understand how even in such extreme difficult conditions, a Sharanagata can practice conscious choice making, overcoming impulses and instincts, recognizing that I have to do what pleases Krishna and I have to avoid doing what displeases him. Mahavishwasa, Rakshayati iti Vishwasaha. To Vishwasa, to understand and practice Vishwasa and Mahavishwasa, we have to understand how Krishna's protection works. Because many times we fail to understand how Bhagavan's protection works. We are always seeking his protection. And whenever we are in danger, whenever we have a problem, immediately all of us call out for his protection. Sometimes the protection comes, sometimes seemingly the protection doesn't come. And we are very disturbed. Is he really protecting me? Is he really answering my calls? So these are all the questions that keep coming in our mind. So it is very important for us, before we understand his invisible protection, we need to understand his visible protection first. And what is his visible protection? When there are no problems, he is still protecting us. Now, our very existence depends on the existence of a scores of factors, without which there is no way we can exist on this planet. Bhagavan takes care of our physical, physiological, terrestrial, cosmological factors, all that is required for us to exist on this planet. The cosmological, terrestrial, everything it is done so that trillions of cells can come together and miraculously behave like one being. What a miracle. Now, everything that he does protects us to that extent that simple things like air, light, food, over which we don't have control. We may say we have control over food, but for the food to be transformed into energy, he is only working. Aham Vaishwanaro Bhutva Praninam Dehamashritaha. Unfortunately, Krishna made one declaration, Pranapana Samayuktaha Pachamyanam, 4 types. That 4 types has now become 400 types now. We keep eating everything and anything that is possible, knowing very well that Krishna does the hard work of digesting it. We only have to eat. Digestion is his problem. And he is struggling 24/7. When we recognize his visible protection and contemplate on the visible protection, that yes, I am being protected all the time, that contemplation infuses Vishwasa in his invisible protection. That contemplation strengthens our Vishwasa. Yes, he is protecting me. Of course he is protecting me. We need to understand that what we perceive, reality is very limited. There is material reality, there is spiritual reality. Sometimes when he intervenes and protects, it is at the material level. Bhagavan may be protecting us at the material level. Deha samrakshana can be happening sometimes, but Atma samrakshana is happening all the time. He is always protecting us for our spiritual well-being. Very important to recognize this fact. And who teaches this most? Parikshit. In the Bhagavatam, if we have to understand Mahavishwasa and how a Sharanagata practices Mahavishwasa, Parikshit is a supreme example. Now, Parikshit, we all know, was cursed by Shringi, son of Samikha. Now, Shringi curses him saying, 7 days is all you have, Parikshit. After that, you will be bitten by Takshaka and you will die. Now, Parikshit knows that he is going to die. He is praying to Krishna. Did Krishna come and protect him from death? You all have to ask this question. Now, the same Krishna protected Parikshit even before his birth. At that, after the war, when Krishna was departing from Hastinapura, he was all set and he also got into his chariot. Uttara came running. Pahi pahi he Krishna, Deva Deva Jagatpate, pahi pahi. What is the matter, Uttara? Uttara was then carrying Parikshit in a room. Then he was not yet named as Parikshit, carrying the child, Abhimanyu's child, the only one who can continue the lineage of Pandavas. Ashwathama has discharged Brahmastra, the evil Ashwathama, wanting to uproot completely the lineage of Pandavas, discharges Brahmastra towards Uttara's womb. Brahmastra cannot be controlled by anyone. Uttara is alarmed. Kunti is alarmed. Uttara surrenders to Krishna. Hey Krishna, pahi pahi. What did Krishna do? Miraculously, Krishna enters Uttara's womb. How blessed the little child was that the child gets to see Keyuravan, Makarkundalavan, Kiriti, Hari, Hiranmayopuhu, Shankachakra. He sees Bhagavan in his original form, and Narayana becomes a shield around the child, protects him from Brahmastra. This is a visible protection. Protection at the material level. Everybody could see it. Bhagavan protected him. That is why the child was named Vishnu Rata. Vishnu Rata, one protected by Vishnu. All of us are Vishnu Ratas, whether we acknowledge it or not, because he is always protecting us. Vishnu Rata later became Parikshit. You know why? Who is Parikshit? Parikshit is one who examines. One who always gives pariksha to others, is always examining. What is he examining? It seems the little infant in the womb, after the glorious darshana of Bhagavan, after coming out, was always in search of punardarshana. And everybody he looked at, he was trying to analyze and examine, is this Narayana who has again come back to give me darshana? Therefore, as he examined everyone, they decided, you are Parikshit. Now that Krishna who protected Parikshit then, Parikshit's birth is glorious. One who had glorious birth and a glorious death. Why glorious birth? At the time of birth, he was absorbed in Krishna. Glorious death, he was absorbed in Krishna. What a blessed soul Parikshit was. And that Parikshit, who was protected by Krishna even before birth, why was he not protected when he was cursed? Parikshit could have turned around and said, hey Krishna, where are you? I am Vishnu Rata. You protected me before birth, but now I am going to die in 7 days. Where is your protection? Parikshit did not ask, because Parikshit understands that Krishna intervenes both in his visible way and in an invisible way. He takes care of our material well-being and our spiritual well-being. And Parikshit was protected by Krishna because Krishna offered him that complete, by revealing his attractiveness, all attractiveness to Parikshit, Krishna offered him total absorption. Parikshit was able to be absorbed in Krishna for the 7 long days before his death, and he attained moksha. This is the highest protection that Bhagavan can give. And therefore, the Parikshit Charitra clearly demonstrates Parikshit was a supreme example for Mahavishwasa. When there is Mahavishwasa, there is no blame game. Parikshit was cursed by Shringi. Parikshit did not go about blaming Shringi. If we were Parikshit, first we will say, I blame you, Shringi. I blame you, Samika, your father. I blame that snake that was lying dead. I blame everything, everybody around. I blame my ministers. I blame myself for coming on hunting. This blame game goes on. Parikshit did not blame anyone. He understands the divine arrangement of Krishna. He understands all this has been orchestrated for Krishna because Krishna wants to give him the ultimate protection. This is a supreme example of Mahavishwasa. Anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjanam. Rakshayati iti vishwasaha. Rakshayati iti vishwasaha. Goptrutva varanam. Tanme bhavan kalu patirangajayam. Atmarpitascha bhavatotra vibho videhi. Mavira bhagam abhimarishchatu vaidya arad. Gomayuvan mrigapater balim ambujaksha. Hey Ambujaksha, I have chosen you and you alone. Rukmini Devi is a supreme example for a Sharanagatha who practices Goptrutva Varanam. Tanme bhavan kaluvrata patirangajayam. I have chosen you as my pati. I have chosen you as my pati. I belong to you. You are my vibhu. I am your vibhuti. It is the role of the vibhu to protect the vibhuti, not otherwise. Now, Bhagavan is the owner. We are all his properties. So why should the owned worry about its protection? The owner should be worrying. No, I'm carrying this watch. I think I'm the owner of this watch. The watch is carefree. Taking care of it. It is owned. The owner has to take care of what is owned. The property that belongs to the owner will be taken care naturally by the owner. Rukmi was dead against Rukmini marrying Krishna. Rukmini has already given her heart and mind to Krishna. But Rukmi went against even Bhishmaka, their father. And he wanted Shishupala to marry Rukmini. And Rukmini writes a nice love letter. Possibly the first love letter in the history of humankind. All of us also have to write love letters. No, I'm not, kids here, I'm talking about love letter to Krishna. Right? Don't have other ideas. We have to follow Rukmini Devi. She writes a Sandesha, and there we see how she says, Hey Krishna, Atmarpitascha bhavatotra vibho videhi. I have offered completely everything to you, and therefore it is your responsibility. I have chosen you to be my master, to be one who will redeem me. It is your job. Don't let the jackal, the Shishupala, steal what belongs to a lion. We also let the jackal, the tamas in this world, steal what belongs to Krishna. We let ourselves be stolen by the jackals of this world when we belong to Krishna, the Yadava Simha. And Rukmini demonstrates how a Sharanagata can lead one's life by constantly choosing Krishna over everything else. Anukulyasya sankalpaha pratikulyasya varjanam. Rakshayati iti vishwasaha. Goptrutva varanam. Atmanikshepa karpanye. Let's take karpanya. Karpanya, helplessness. It is recognizing that my capability is not my capability. I have some capabilities. I have some talents. I have some resources. But none of these are mine. It is to understand like how the Pandavas understood that without Krishna they are nothing. The same Arjuna who won the Kurukshetra war was thrashed by few hunters later on. We see in the Bhagavatam. The same Arjuna, the valiant Arjuna who conquered the world, was thrashed by few hunters who had no weapons also. With sticks, they thrashed him, and he realizes, who am I without Krishna? Even Brahma realized it. Even Brahma realized it. One fine day, Brahma looks at Vraja. He looks at Krishna having a great time taking care of the cattle of Vraja, and Brahma is suddenly now inclined to test Krishna. Krishna goes around performing all these miracles. Let me see how powerful he is. So he wants to engage, and then Krishna recognizes, he says, let me also play this game. Let me give an opportunity to Brahma to play this game. So Brahma one fine day comes and steals all the gopas, the cowherds and the cattle as they were grazing in the forest. Everything vanished, including the gopas, hundreds and hundreds of gopas, the cowherds. And then Krishna sees, and he knows Brahma has taken them and hid them somewhere. What does Krishna do? Immediately Krishna takes a sankalpa, and then he multiplies himself. This one Krishna becomes hundreds and hundreds and hundreds. He assumes the forms of all the Gopakumaras, and he also becomes the cattle himself, and then goes back. And from that day onwards, the cattle of Vraja, it seems, started to give unending milk supply. Vraja was flooded with milk. The cattle did not stop giving milk because of Krishna taking the form of cattle. And also Shuka says, it seems all the mothers in Vraja, it seems, until then, they all were biased towards Krishna. Every mother in Vraja loved Krishna more than their own child. But from that day onwards, some unimaginable love in them, they started to love their own children more because Krishna was there with them. And this went on and on and on. There was that unimaginable bliss in the whole of Vraja. After a while, Brahma realized what was going on. And then he realized Krishna is Narayana himself, and there is no way that I should have even engaged in this game and tried to test him. And then Brahma comes down. And then when Brahma comes down, then Krishna reveals to him who he is. Brahma comes down in Vraja, and then he sees not one Krishna, he sees hundreds and hundreds of Narayanas in his original form. Every cowherd is in the form of Narayana, Shankha, Chakra, Gada, and every cattle is in the form of Narayana. He's seeing, like Brahma is in the midst of a Vishwarupa, he is surrounded by various forms of Narayana. Brahma realizes, and with utmost humility, he pleads, Samashritaye patapallava plavam mahatpadam punya yasho murare bhavam budir vatsapadam parampadam padam yad vipadam natesham. One of the most glorious prayers offered in the Bhagavatam, Brahma's prayers to Krishna in the Dashamaskanda, where Brahma surrendering to Bhagavan, he says, Samashritaye patapallava plavam. Those who have accepted Padapallava plavam, your lotus feet as their boat to cross over the ocean of samsara. Samashritaye padapallava plavam mahatpadam punya yasho murare. He Murare, hey Krishna, the one who owns this entire cosmos, when someone chooses your lotus feet as their boat, Bhavambudir Vatsapadam Parampadam, the ocean of samsara becomes like the water contained in the hoof of a cattle. So tiny, it becomes so very easy for him to cross over. Bhavambhudir Vatsapadam Parampadam Padam Yat Vipadam Natesham. That Sharanagata knows Paramapada Vaikunta is the goal, not the place. Padam Yat Vipadam Natesham. Every step I take, there is only Vipada, there is only misery. Knowing that every step I take is a misery, the Sharanagata assumes, accepts Krishna's feet as the lotus boat, and to them Brahma says, The ocean of samsara is nothing. It's just like a little water contained in the hoof of the cattle. They can easily, effortlessly cross over. Again, this charitra demonstrates how we should recognize our helplessness, our incapability. Our capability is not complete without Krishna. Every talent that we have, if we take Krishna out of the equation, it becomes a useless talent. Bhagavan gives us various talents, various gifts to be used as his kainkarya, recognizing they are all manifestations of his limitless powers. And a Sharanagata practices karpanyam day in and day out. Anukulyasya sankalpaha, pratikulyasya varjanam, rakshishyati iti vishwasaha, goptrutva varanam tata, atmanikshepa karpanye. Atmanikshepa is offering unconditionally everything that we have, knowing that we are completely dependent on Krishna. Nikshepa, Atmanikshepa. Depositing even our Atman at the feet of Krishna. Surrender is to do now with what we have now. We always think, I have to first, elevate myself, acquire things, and then I can do surrender. We can do surrender anytime, any place, anyone. This is the beauty of Sharanagati. No qualifications whatsoever. Sharanagati can be done. The beauty is to surrender now with what I have now, with all my inadequacies. Now, Atmanikshepa is total surrender, offering everything that I have, including my doshas. Complete package. Krishna offers the whole package. Everything as it is, without saying no to anything. Uddhava is the supreme example. Uddhava is possibly the only one who said, Krishna, if you go, I will come. Now, everybody else nicely, said, Krishna, bye-bye, we'll keep remembering you, take care, we will take care, But then Uddhava is the one who said, if you go, I don't exist. How can I even breathe? How can I be on this planet without you, hey Krishna? Tasmad bhavantam anavadyam anantaparam sarvagyamishwaram akunta vikunta dishnyam nirvinnadihi ahamuhe ruchinabhitaptaha narayanam narasakam Śaranam Prapadye. Narayanam Uddhava's Sharanagati to Krishna. Narayanam narasakam, he says. Uddhava also has that unique privilege of being Krishna's bestie. We all have to aspire to become Uddhavas. But Uddhava also realized being Krishna's bestie is not the best position. There is even greater position. Uddhava thought he is Krishna's bestie, but then realized that Krishna thinks somebody else is his bestie. Uddhava was asked to go to Vraja to convey Krishna's message to the Gopikas. Uddhava said, I know all these Gopikas, I need to go and teach them, I need to give them all the jnana so that they can bear the separation of Krishna. He goes with all the enthusiasm to give jnana to the Gopikas, and then looking at the Gopikas, experiencing their Krishna Trishna, Uddhava becomes their devotee. Uddhava realizes what is really, being in experience of Krishna, what does it mean? The Gopikas teach him what is Krishna Anubhava, what is Krishna Trishna. That Uddhava is surrendering to Krishna. Hey Krishna, you are anavadya, you are blemishless. Even when you take an avatara, you are endowed with infinite auspicious qualities. Anantaparam, you are limitless in your capabilities. Akunta vikunta dishnya, your abode is Vaikunta, which is free of all miseries. But still, you come down from that place amidst all these miseries for our sake. Sarvajnam Ishwaram, you are the Sarvajna, omniscient, supreme ruler. Hey Krishna, I surrender to you, acknowledging and realizing Nirvinnadihi Ahamuhe Vrijinabitaktaha. Now, samsara, it is the design of samsara is for one to remain always exhausted. Nirvinnadihi, being in a state of exhaustion, because one is always struggling, one is always agitating, one is always in a state of disturbance. Even if I don't do anything, I am exhausted. That is the nature of samsara. Nirvinnadihi, agitated, disturbed, exhausted, sorrowful, unhappy, tormented. Vrijinabhitaptaha, tapatrayas, always I am subject to adhyatmika, adibhautika, adidaivika. But then, the one who created all this, the Jivatma, is surrounded by these three circles. Adi Adhyatmika, Adi Bhautika, Adi Daivika. Again, these are physical, physiological, terrestrial, cosmological circles. Now, all these torment us. But then who can help us get out of this torment? The one who made these arrangements. Mayadhyakshena prakritiki suyate chasaracharam hetunanena kaunteya jagad viparivartate. Jagad viparivartate, he runs the business of running. He governs this universe by managing all these three. Therefore, the one who created this and which is now tormenting, you are the one who can give me the cure. Samsara is by design full of distress. But the beauty of Bhagavatam throughout is nowhere there is an analysis of karma. Because we all are experts in that. Because we always want to identify what is the cause of my trouble. If something happens, then immediately the question is, why is this happening to me? What could be the cause? But the beauty of Bhagavatam is, it is not about analyzing karma, it is about doing our dharma. Bhagavata dharma. Bhagavata dharma is to love and serve Bhagavan by surrendering to him. Śaranam Prapadye. That is Bhagavata dharma. There is no point in trying to find the causes, because always when there is a distress, we say, Krishna, you are the cause of distress. But Bhagavatam teaches us that Krishna is not the cause of the distress. Krishna is the shield for the distress. Krishna is the cure for the distress. And therefore, when we look at, as Uddhava is explaining here, when we look at the causes for the distress of samsara, nirvinnadihi ahamuhe vrijanabhitaptaha, for all the torment, tribulations and troubles that I am going through, he recognizes that there are only three causes. What are the three causes? There is an immediate cause, there is an intermediate cause, and there is an ultimate cause. For every trouble, every tribulation, every problem, every distress, these are the three causes in samsara. Immediate cause, intermediate cause, and ultimate cause. So what are these three causes? The immediate cause is something which we can easily identify. Now there is water on this floor, water is spilled. I walk and then I slip on the water and I fall. Now the immediate cause is water. But can I say it is only the water because of which I have fallen? I cannot conclusively say, because somebody else also walked on the same floor, spilled with the same water, did not fall. So apart from the immediate cause, there must be an intermediate cause. The intermediate cause is our karma. It is my karma that I have to slip on that particular puddle of water. It is somebody else's karma not to slip and go. Because we all see this, all of us could be presented with the same situation. The consequences may be different for different people. There may be 30 people in one bus. They meet with an accident. 29 people can die and one person can survive. What is the cause? Immediately somebody starts to analyze, it becomes very difficult. Then it is not just the immediate cause, there is an intermediate cause. Several examples we can give like this. But the idea is not to complicate, because Gehena karmano gatihi. The moment we start trying to analyze karma, we are in a dark alley with no way back. So there is no point in analysis paralysis of karma. That is why Bhagavatam is very clear. Don't question karma, do your dharma. Very simple. So we need to strictly follow that dictate. Now, immediate cause, intermediate cause, but there is one ultimate cause. This is what Uddhava is clearly pointing out. What is that ultimate cause? The ultimate cause is forgetfulness of Krishna. That is the ultimate cause of every distress, every problem, every trouble, every tribulation in samsara. That's the ultimate cause. So if we need to address the ills of samsara, if we waste our time on addressing the immediate and intermediate cause, we will continue to be struggling all the time. So to address all the ills of samsara, the root cause is the third ultimate cause. Forgetting Krishna is fatal. So Uddhava is very clear. There is no way, Krishna, that I can not remember you. It is, I recognize that your forgetfulness is the outcome of your forgetfulness is all the ills that we see in samsara, and therefore I surrender to you. Even that remembrance of you also is your kripa. Matta smritirjnanam apohanam cha sarvascha saham hridi sannivishtaha matta smritirjnanam apohanam cha. It is Bhagavan alone, Krishna alone can give us that remembrance as well, so that we can fight our own forgetfulness. Thus, Uddhava, this exemplar of surrender, demonstrates Atmanikshepa by surrendering to Krishna in the 11th skanda of Bhagavatam. So when we look at Bhagavatam, in every skanda, we see supreme examples. So when we say Śaranam Prapadye, taking refuge, we also need examples. We need examples where we can understand how life can present unimaginable challenges. The challenges that can come our way are unpredictable, and every challenge is so very unique to everyone. And we are not trained in any way to address all these challenges. The only training that we can take in addressing the ultimate cause, which is forgetfulness of Krishna. When we get trained in remembering Krishna, we don't need to worry about getting trained in addressing any samsaric tribulations and trials. Every trial and tribulation in samsara can be easily addressed, and we can easily cross over by addressing that one ultimate cause of all our troubles. Therefore, Bhagavatam helps us to get trained to address that ultimate cause of all ills. And Jagadacharya Swami Ramanuja helps us with a framework as to how, knowing what Sharanagati is all about, how do we perform Sharanagati? It is important to do Sharanagati, and when we do Sharanagati, what should we be asking Bhagavan? That also he helps us. And after asking Bhagavan, after doing Sharanagati, as Sharanagatas, how do we go about leading our lives? Thanks to his immense contribution, all of us today have that assurance of all assurances, that assurance that Ranganatha, along with Sri Ranganayaki, gave to Swami Ramanuja, that not only you, everyone else associated with you for ages and years to come, I assure moksha, and this is the assurance that empowers us and gives us the strength to lead our lives, not only to perform Sharanagati, but to lead our lives as Sharanagatas. तस्मै रामानुजार्याय नमः परमयोगिने यश्रुतिस्मृतिसूत्राणाम् अन्तर्ज्वरमसीसमत् पुण्याम्भोज विकासाय पापध्वान्तक्षयाय च श्रीमानाविरभूद्भूमौ रामानुजदिवाकरः यो नित्यमच्युतपदाम्बुजयुग्मरुक्मव्यामोहतस्तदितराणि तृणाय मेने अस्मद्गुरोः भगवतोऽस्य दयैकसिन्धोः रामानुजस्य शरणं प्रपद्ये शरणं प्रपद्ये शरणं प्रपद्ये. जय श्रीकृष्ण.